Awesome, everyone. To get this thing started, that way we can actually log off on an appropriate time before the other state meetings kick off. We'll let people continue coming in, but I think we're getting pretty close to the total that kind of RSVP'd. So once again, thank you for participating in this year's regional conference. Thank you to our sponsors as well. I know that has helped when it comes to, although it's virtual, keeping it free for everyone, which I think has then helped assist in the, I got news this morning, it's now up to 440. So we have now, our conference registration has increased significantly in the past 4 hours. So that's the great news. And we've been able to get a lot of people involved and able to participate thanks to these sponsors. So, and then lastly, I know we all covered this in the first meeting of the day, or if this is your first meeting of the session or conference, go ahead and hit that follow button for all of these, as that's where we will be publishing and posting a lot of region specific content, upcoming events, anything that's going on within the region. I know Jeremy and I are both on the communications committee, so we've enjoyed looping in even some Kansans into those conversations, and we look to continue doing that. So be on the lookout for our fellow Kansan friends, and go ahead and hit that follow button. So realistically, I know I sent out the invite. I apologize for not updating it with the link. Once that came out, it slipped my mind, but hopefully we all got that. Looks like we're all here. I didn't receive anything specifically that we would like to have covered in this session, but I do think it's a good time to see where everyone's at, see how the semester's going. I always started off hopefully with a positive at some point throughout the throughout the meeting, but I like to let's hear something that's going well. I know we last met, man, as an entire state. That was what, May? Was it June? Long time ago. I know we've all met individually as smaller groups, but has there been any major updates for your entire department since then? I think a big question is post-Thanksgiving hours. I think I know it's crazy that this semester on campus is already only 4 weeks away. Kind of hearing where everyone else is at, and then any final updates from you all. So if you guys are fine, I'll just lead things off with ESU, or Mike, do you want to take away ESU?
Sure. I just had to figure out how to unmute myself. Still a little challenged with this Zoom thing. But here at ESU, we are holding our own. Things are going pretty well. Since we went on quarantine, we just before approached the tuition and fees committee about a line item change. As a lot of you know, we paid off our facility in June, and so we now officially own the building that we're in. Our proposal was to continue that fee in order to do maintenance and future projects. Luckily, the committee found it favorable, and so we actually, during the course of the summer, once it was approved by the Board of Regents, we increased our student fee intake by about $29 per student. So that really put us in a pretty good spot. It looks like ESU will be on campus for the duration. At this point, as of Friday, there's only 6 positive cases on our campus. So we're looking really good. And that's even after about a week and a half ago, they did some surveillance testing of over 400 students, and we still only have 6. So we're very fortunate. Our university's mitigation process has really worked well, but it's kind of a blessing and a curse in the fact that it's really hampered our programming considerably. Just recently, we were able to open up our weight room and do a little bit of volleyball. but we're still pretty restrictive as to what we're allowed to do as far as, getting permission from the university to open up very much more. As far as our facility, we will close the week of, well, not our facility, the campus will close the week of Thanksgiving, and then reopen again on January 25th. All the students will move home, of course, the week of Thanksgiving. During that time, our facility hours are going to be noon to 6, beginning the week of Thanksgiving, but only the first couple of days. And then once we return from Thanksgiving, we'll continue with the noon to 6 hours until we close for our mandatory shutdown for Christmas. Then after that, we'll open back again and continue those noon to 6 hours, Monday through Friday, until the weekend before school starts, which I believe is like the 23rd of January. And then we'll go back to our regular facility hours. So we're going to try to keep it open as much as we can and still conserve some budget here. But it's looking good. We're in the process of determining what our spring schedule will look like. At this point, it doesn't look like we'll be doing basketball, but we're looking to supplement it with things like wiffle ball and some other things. So I guess the last thing I have is, because of the ability to get a little bit more money with that increase of $29 per student toward our facility, we're looking to do a couple of things. We are in the process of doing a renovation of our weight room. We're going to look about opening up a wall and bringing in some new equipment, and then also painting the entire inside of our facility. And then we are working with facilities on finally finishing our sand volleyball courts. We're hope to have those done to be able to utilize them in the spring. So at this point, I think that's really all that we have going.
Awesome. Anyone like to go next? Do I need to pull up the slides again for anyone that I can just copy it in the page or copy it in the chat?
I'll go. Pittsburgh State. Greetings all. How's everybody doing? Good. Nice face there, Clint. Smile a little bit, buddy. Hey, positive for us. We're about 60% normal usage, which where we're usually at, which is pretty good considering we're about 3/4 of a mile from campus. Break hours, we'll be going to 11 to 7 after Thanksgiving. And then we'll carry that up through December 23rd, and we're closed December 23rd through January 3rd. Question to all of you guys, anybody got their locker rooms open yet? Is everybody still shut down?
Vinny, we don't have to worry about locker rooms here. So
Okay. I'm just kind of curious what everybody else is at.
Fort Hays, our locker rooms are open, but no towel service.
Okay.
Vinny, this is Blair at KU. Our lockers are open. We established occupancy low levels for each of our bays, so we only ask 2 people in a bay at a time. But we're open with towel service.
Okay.
This is Rob Crane at Kansas City Kansas Community College. We're open. We don't we don't offer the towel service. Locker rooms are open. That type of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Steve from K-State. We're closed. We sure like to open them, though. Most of our faculty staff that are members, that are still members, would really like to use them. I know that's keeping a lot of people away. So we're hoping to get them open soon.
Right. Whitney, do you guys got them?
Yep, we're open. We've been
Okay.
open with ours pretty much since summertime with the
Okay.
locals.
And
Cool.
it does look like John said Wichita State lockers are open as well. So
Got it. Cool.
That's correct.
Okay. And Stephen and Nathan, I think, are on this call. Stephen, do you want to update anybody with the intramurals?
Obviously, everyone knows it kind of hurts to not have flag football or basketball. Number wise, the only thing we've done this year is softball league, which we had a good turnout. I think we had 14 teams, and we have 19 for indoor volleyball. The most surprising one was probably a cornhole tournament. We had 40 double teams, so we're going to turn that into an indoor cornhole league starting next week. But that's pretty much it.
Anything from you, Nathan?
The pool still holds water. Our numbers have been very consistent to what they were last year, which is really exciting for us. The cold weather has kind of killed that off a little bit, so we'll see if it picks up.
Yeah, our pool is a 1969 build, and we got a wall caving in right now. So his comment about holding water actually has meaning. So, and we close our campus, or the semester ends November 20th here, commencement's that following weekend, and then we go to our break hours. So that's it from the Southeast Kansas.
I guess I can start it off for K-State. Clint got the heat turned on last week in the building, but as you can see, it's still pretty cold in our offices, but we had some snow this morning. But, positives are that we're open and we got the heat on. There's a lot of things going on. We're really struggling with student staff for the breaks. So we really haven't, at this point in time, scheduled our break time because there's so many different, there's Thanksgiving, then there's after Thanksgiving with online classes and finals, and then there's Christmas break, and then there's semester break. So we're looking at hopefully by the end of next week being able to come up with our schedule. We're getting a lot of questions and things like that, but it's a struggle with student staff. A lot of kids don't live in Manhattan and they're heading home for the holidays and then probably heading home for the rest of the break since it's so long. So that's been a struggle, but other than that, we've got programs going, and I'll go ahead and I got some of my staff on board. So you guys with intramurals and fitness and the building, go ahead and speak up.
And Steve, if you don't mind, I guess I'll pose the question as well, because you guys are the only ones that I've heard that have maybe done a COVID-related survey for students. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Specifically for that.
Right. I'll let Travis talk about it because he's putting together the results of that right now, and it's pretty interesting. But yeah, a lot of comments, that's for sure, as usual. But good response. But I'll let Travis talk about it a little.
Okay.
Sure. Hey, everyone. Honestly, the biggest takeaway from our student survey from the students is that most of them don't want to wear masks, shockingly. There are, I'd say that's probably 80% of the responses is in terms of what they'd like to see change. They just don't want to see face coverings. Some of them are okay with face coverings. They just don't want them while they're exercising or working out. There's still a segment that don't feel safe, or they're actually upset with the number of people who will actually keep the face coverings on correctly. So there's kind of a dichotomy there. A lot of them there's a huge number that want the courts and basketball open and things like that, which we haven't opened yet. Let's see. And faculty staff wise, and like our membership, if we're looking at that side, it's kind of the opposite. There's more people that are just feeling unsafe. They want a vaccine. They don't feel like people that are wearing face coverings are wearing them enough. So it's a little bit opposite of the students in general. And they want the locker rooms open, which we haven't gotten open yet here. So hopefully that can happen soon. That's probably the biggest takeaway. So I'm going to give it quickly. If there's anything more specific that anybody's curious about, I'd happy to elaborate.
And Travis, maybe could you guys maybe even just share the questions that you all asked, and then I could send that out in the state newsletter just to maybe give others an idea of possible assessment questions related to this specifically.
Sure, I can run it down real quick here. Let's see here. The first question, the first question was basically asked them to select the type of membership that they have. Then we asked them their age range, just to kind of, if we wanted to look at that more in depth. Then we specifically asked if they visited the rec since it reopened in August when we reopened. And then from there it branched to those that answered yes, got certain questions, to those that answered no, got other questions. So for those that got to come in, we asked if they've been satisfied with the safety protocols in place. And then for those that were not satisfied, we asked them, for suggestions for what we can do to help meet their satisfaction. And that's where it's a lot of the face coverings stuff came in. Then we asked those that haven't returned to the rec as questions as to why they haven't. We gave them some options to choose from. And then we asked them if they're aware of our safety protocols currently in place, and we listed them out. Then we asked if there are any portions of the facility that are currently closed that they would want to see open, if that would encourage them to come back. And then the last one was just under what circumstances would you consider utilizing the rec again? There's a variety of things there depending on, who's answering the question. And that's pretty much it.
See, Mondo or Tyler, you want to say anything about IAMS? Go ahead.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't, I think I'm the only one on between those two, so I'll go ahead and speak up. But as far as intramural goes, kind of the same thing that everyone else is dealing with, in that we can't do team sports. And when it comes to in-person stuff, we're kind of limited to singles events or doubles events as long as it's not in a confined space. We recently got approval to do doubles volleyball indoors, but it's because it's not in like a super confined area. We're going to have singles racquetball, handball, and squash and table tennis, utilizing the same 3 repurposed racquetball courts indoors. It also creates a way for us to do for lack of better terms, a double check for people that get into the facility, so they can go through the intramural supervisors, so where we don't just have random people playing and clogging that up, but only people that are signed up to play, just for sake of keeping control of it and having a lid. Like Steve mentioned, masks are a big sticking point. And while the students have been very vocal in responding to surveys about their displeasure with masks, I can honestly say that, especially recently, the students that still continue to use our programs in our facility have been pretty good about keeping the mask on mostly properly most of the time. So yeah, they might tick them off, but they've been good kids as far as I can see. Some other things we've been doing intramural wise just to keep people engaged is, and I stole a playbook out of the Rec Without Borders, or a page out of their playbook from the summer. And we've launched our own series of Twitch trivia, which is really neat. It's a good way to engage folks that like to participate with electronic type sports or video games, but also it's semi-active, not too active. They can do it from home. They can do it from their phone. You can do it weekly, bi-weekly, whatever you want. We've had everything from football trivia to next week we have Kansas high school record specific sports trivia. And the only thing that I had to overcome was I'm so used to Zoom calls and seeing faces on the other end, that streaming was really weird for me because you don't see them on the other end. They might chat you if something's going wrong, but it was kind of cool to get that really dedicated group of 5 to 10 folks that keep showing up for all of them, and they're really interactive, which is nice. Trying to ramp up more of our e-games offerings, utilizing IM Leagues' built-in challenge system and self-score reporting has made it infinitely easier than it was before for us. And outside of that, just trying to be creative and do as much as we can to keep the students that do feel safe using the rec involved. I'd say our numbers are consistent in that the same types of folks are still taking part in all of our programs, while the total numbers are down, obviously. But it's not all doom and gloom. It's kind of I expected this to happen, and it's honestly better than I expected. So there's some good news.
Clint, you have anything on the facility, or Bree?
Nothing really new that I don't think anybody knows about. Our typical COVID protocols, our hours have had to change a few times we had lack of basically people to work the building with COVID. So we had a couple emergency times we had to shut the building down early. We're looking into adjusting our hours after Thanksgiving break, as Steve mentioned. A lot of that is due to our students leaving campus. So we're trying to scrounge to find workers. A lot of those kids won't be on campus anymore. So that takes away a lot of our working population. So we probably gonna have to adjust our hours and try to stay open as much as we possibly can. Other than that, after, around January, like Steve mentioned, we'll try to look into possibly open the locker rooms and try to actively seek to get more members back into the facility. We're all hoping that things get better, as you guys all are as well. That's about it.
Great.
I can touch on our facility usage real fast too, just so that people know our statistics. But on a typical day, we average about 3,000 guests, and right now we're hitting about 1,500 every day. The biggest blow is coming from our member population. We're down about 600-ish members a day. So that's the biggest. And then I would also say, since we're not doing any guest sales or outside rentals, reservations, and all that stuff, our numbers are down. But in terms of comparing student numbers from year to year, our student numbers are about the same. So that is a positive out of this. But yeah, we're definitely missing our members and community stuff.
So I guess thanks. Thanks, Bree. So the last thing, I guess, is that Tyler's going to start a GoFundMe page for K-State Rec Services here at the end of the day today. Just kidding. Sorry.
You know how you talked about the
K-State
pool? Yeah, it's still in better shape than ours.
Yeah. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, guys. Who do we got left? Wichita State, Fort Hays.
I can go. I got Wichita State. This is John. Sounds like we're open more than most people. Less rules in Sedgwick County. You have to wear a mask to come in the facility, but once you get to your activity space, you can take it off. We've run intramurals, just smaller size, like we had 4-on-4 flag football. Our university wants to mirror what Sedgwick County is doing, and since youth sports are happening in town, then we can do what we want there. What else? Our population for faculty and staff is way down, which is, of course, income from memberships, which hurts, but we're working with that. Our latest concern is we've had, I think we're up to 6 students who have to stay home, not because they have COVID, but because they've been close to someone. I don't think we've had anybody test positive, but the problem is they all have a roommate, and they can't, the 14 days doesn't start until the roommate gets a negative test. So, I mean, it could take a month before we get them back. So my point is, if this continues, and this is all within 1 week, we were pretty good all semester, and it's all from outside of campus rec, then we might start getting in trouble as we get to Thanksgiving, because we can't lose people for a month at a time. So that's a small concern. Just like most people, we're gonna go to summer hours after Thanksgiving, and in the spring semester we have lots of rentals, and most of them will be run without fans. We have track meets and gymnastics meets and stuff, and we're allowed to do that as long as we can keep that 6-foot separation with mask on thing going. I don't know, Carolina or Andy, I know you guys are on here. Am I missing anything?
We've got fitness classes, currently offering glide fit in the pool, up to 10 people, and then F45 up to 10 people, well, 9 people that are in that space. So just restricted on capacity, but we are able to do the classes, and we just having instructors wipe all equipment down in between. They become less queuing and focused on actual exercise form and more on cleaning right now, but that's just kind of the climate we're in.
Yeah, Kansas has the oldest pools in the state. We've been having some small issues with plumbing and other pipes and stuff. So I don't know if we can hold an aquatic conference in this state, unless it's 1973 again. So what were you going to say, Carolina?
I was just going to say that we scaled down definitely on our events. Didn't really run much. I finishing up here our pumpkin run, our annual run that went virtual this year. So we've had 185 people sign up, and I mailed out about 80 packets. 80 other people just decided to come in and pick up their packets here at our in our building. So definitely a scale down from our typical 700, 800 runners, but it was still pretty successful, I guess, for what we've got. And the only other event we'll run this year will be, I think, fingers crossed, in December, a puppy paddle. We'll let people swim in the pool before we drain it again. So definitely didn't host and do much for that, and hopefully we can change it a little bit in the spring and do some more events. But Andy's been doing a lot of nutrition talks and a lifting clinic. They are in person in the lobby or in the weight room with 10 to 15 people max. But then they've been really popular because they are live streamed and they've been watched a lot. I mean, those have been really our biggest hit for the engagement with students and members. So I just wanted to touch on some events, but everything else I think John and Andy covered already. So
the only thing I want to end on is I really wanted to do something with diversity programming since the summer, and so we've working with the city rec, and we have a boathouse, and so we're going to get disadvantaged youth, maybe middle schoolers and high schoolers, onto the water in our rowing program. There's a documentary about that online, and so that'll be a free program, and also twice a year having free swim lessons for disadvantaged kids. So just a few things that we've been working towards, and when we can travel again, which who knows when that is, we have a small outdoor rec program. We might take kids up to see the Negro Museum and the Jazz Museum, and a little culture there too. So I think that's it for Wichita State.
I can go next for Fort Hays. Mainly, I'll be talking about the fitness side of things, but our numbers are pretty good. We're definitely down, but not to the percentage that I thought we would be. Our fitness classes, we've had about pretty consistent numbers, maybe only down a couple participants to where we're normally at. We started an outside yoga class this semester and had great success with that. Obviously, that has ended as it is on Tuesdays. So we've transitioned that to inside. We put in a capacity counter for our fitness center that has a live link to what, I guess, occupancy is still allowed in our facility on our Fort Hays webpage, and that has had a great response. So people can see kind of what capacity we're actually at and how much space we have available for participants to come in and use our facility. We had great numbers for participation in our burpee battle that we had with the MIAA. our numbers, we had like 644 participants here at Fort Hays. So that was a big success for us, and we just allowed people to complete those wherever they're at. So I think students are still wanting to become involved. It's just maybe not so much, maybe where they feel safe, I guess you could say. So Fort Hays is coming back to school after fall break. We're probably about one of the only few in the Midwest. And so our hours will just kind of stay the same, but we'll be looking at 6:30 to 7 over fall break and winter break. And we'll also start right after Labor Day. I know a lot of people are transitioning to later starts, but we'll be the same. Intramural wise, I can kind of say a few things. I know that they've had some pretty decent numbers for some of their creative events. They are or have still been doing sand volleyball. And in fact, they had sand volleyball outside yesterday and still had a few games. But I think that their participation numbers aren't too bad on their side of things.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew.
I'll go here for Washburn. So one of the positives that we've had this semester is we started offering personal training, which we have never had before in our facility. So it was exciting to kind of get that kicked off and going. And kind of how we handled it was Jamie created an in-house training session modules. And so he did a few weeks with our 4 trainers that we had this semester. And he kind of took them through, I think it was about 16 hours worth of work that they did. And they did that at 5:30 in the morning. So we were impressed with that group of students that, were dedicated to get in there early in the morning and do some learning. But we've been able to do, just started, I think last week, our second session of that. So excited to, get that kicked off and have something available for our students that we didn't have before. Some other updates, just, we have been running intramurals. We did flag football and volleyball and some other, activities like badminton and stuff like that, pickleball tournament. Luckily, we haven't really had any sort of issues. We had one team that had to quarantine for 2 weeks, so they missed a couple of games, but was able to make it back for the playoffs. But luckily, we've been able to still continue to program some. Our numbers are lower than what we would typically be at, but still those that have been participating have been pretty consistent with coming. We haven't had a lot of forfeits or anything like that. So glad that we've been able to get through some of those leagues and finish up a couple of activities there. Something that changed a couple weeks ago, we were allowed to remove the mask requirement while exercising. There was some talk within athletics and some doctors here in Topeka and the effectiveness of wearing the masks that are getting wet and sweaty. And so they gave us the clear to take that off while they're working out. So still, while they check in and things like that, similar to what John said, they have to wear them in common spaces as they're moving around. But once they get to their spot and start exercising and stuff, they don't have to wear them anymore. But our break hours, I sent out a survey last week to those that have been using our facilities. So those that have actually been into the rec this semester last week, just to get a sense of what realistically do we see of the students coming back after Thanksgiving, since it's like at most everyone, we're not, we'll go all online after Thanksgiving. And with that, I've been surprised. We've got a pretty good response rate so far on that I've sent out. And we do see that there are several students that plan on coming back after Thanksgiving, but we do see, I asked it specifically after finals week, what people's plans were. And we did see a drop after finals week. So kind of what I'm looking at is probably doing a couple of weeks. So right after Thanksgiving up until finals, being having a little bit more extended hours, still reduced from what our normal school hours are, but having a little bit bigger of a time frame there, and then after finals week, kind of going down even further to kind of like 11 to 7 is what we're considering right now. But still working on finalizing those once I can see kind of some more of our data that comes in over the next couple of days. And then one other little thing is our the indoor practice facility is almost complete. It was slated to be done, I think, at the end of October, but now they're, I think, saying the middle of November, maybe. But they're just finishing putting down the track. They've been working on the parking lot over the last couple of days, so they've got all the concrete kind of down there, but we're excited. It's really nice, and we got to go in on a little sneak peek tour and see it. So we're excited for that to get open and be able to use it some this spring.
Hey, can I ask Whitney a follow-up question? When you went to not requiring masks while they're working out, are you seeing that most students are now taking them off? Are you seeing some still keep masks on? What's kind of your percentage there?
I would say most everybody's taking them off. The first couple of days when people were like still kind of, figuring out that change, there was a lot more, but now I would say most everybody is taking them off to exercise.
Whitney, to add to that, have you had more issues with them in common spaces where they're not wearing them? Just like, are they just exiting the building now without putting them back on? Or, I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're asking. There's an occasional, we'll have to remind someone as they're walking out, just being like, hey, make sure you put your mask on. But I'd say most everybody's pretty good about putting them back on. From what I've been seeing, occasionally, yeah, somebody will just try to walk out, but I'd say most everybody is trying to follow, that policy too.
I'll go ahead and give an update for KU. One of the things that we saw with new projections for enrollment for the fall at KU was that they were actually better than expected. They were still down, but they weren't down like maybe the most drastic expectations were. So that's good, both from an enrollment standpoint and then obviously a budget standpoint. Member numbers for us, memberships are down significantly, so that's been a big kick for us. Daniel, I don't know if this qualifies as good news, but we do have a new roof. For me, that's a very good news. We've had water issues from the day that we've opened. And so knock
Jason,
on wood.
Anything to eliminate KU's water issues is great news. So
I'm telling you. So knock on wood, we haven't had leaks since that's occurred. And we've had several major rainstorms during that time. So I'm really, really happy to not walk in the building and see trash cans littered kind of everywhere catching drops. So that's one good news. The other good news is that I've always wanted to try to offer our group exercise program for free. I asked our student senate to do that for this current budget year, and they weren't able to. But because of the number of classes that we are offering, which is down quite a bit, we went ahead and offered it for free again, or for free for the first time. Our numbers from that perspective, though, are down. But overall, I like the idea of being able to offer free classes. From a participation standpoint, we're at about 50% of people coming in the door compared to this time last year. We've heard from other Big 12 directors and that kind of thing, and that's actually on the higher end in the Big 12. We've heard all the way from 15% to 30%, and so sticking at 50%, I actually feel really good about that. Reduced hours over the break, we're looking Monday to Friday, 7 to 7, on the weekends, 1 to 4, but we'll extend some holiday closing time more than we have in the past. So we'll be closed Wednesday through Sunday for Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's typically not been the case there, so that's a little bit more extended. We'll also just kind of evaluate to make sure that it's still fitting kind of what our needs are. We will also have, or we currently have 2 open or 2 vacant positions, full-time positions. So we're working through the process of kind of re-imaging those right now to see what works best for us, and we'll probably advertise some form of that in the spring. One will be more fitness related, and the other will be more membership slash facilities related. Other than that, I'd toss it to Blair or Jill if you guys have anything else that maybe I didn't cover. I see Blair shaking his head. He's good. Jill, you got anything? Okay, we'll call it good from KU.
Awesome.
Oh, by the
Rob,
way, we'll join that pool conference that John's gonna go ahead and put together with our 40 and 50-year-old pools here at KU as well. We like to not talk about them because then that means nothing will go wrong with them. But luckily, we're not in the management of them, so I'm very thankful for that.
Well, luckily, you can count us out. We went out of the pool business July 1, and we are happy.
Jason, I guess, and this goes for everyone here, if there's a position open within the state, just, I'll be staying on Bluefish, obviously, but send anything my way, and I'll make sure to include it in future newsletters whenever that time does come. So
Sure.
That goes for everyone, but as you shared, that's where you guys are currently at. I'd be happy to share it in our newsletters. So
yeah, we sure will.
Rob, would you like to share an update?
Sure. We've been open since August 17th. We shortened our hours. We used to be open Monday through Thursday, 5:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and Fridays 5:30 to 7. And so now we've just gone Monday through Friday, 5:30 to 10:30 in the morning. Then we close, and then we reopen from noon to 7. So between 10:30 and that 12 o'clock, it gives our staff a chance to take a little bit of break. But we have a guy from our custodial services come in. They do electrostatic cleaning during that time. So we just get out of their way and let that stuff dry, and that there's no smell in the air when people come in, and just again kind of give us a chance for not having to clean so much when people come in. Our facility is open. It's free to all students and employees on campus, but it's way back. We're not seeing near the numbers that we have, but there's a very small percentage of students on campus. Mainly they're the athletes that are still on campus, and it looks like that trend's going to happen in the spring. We're going to do the exact same type of thing in the spring, where most of the classes are going to be offered online only. There's a few hybrid, and then a few on ground that have to be, so like some of the chemistry classes or something of that nature, where they actually cannot have distance learning. So we haven't really had too many issues, but the mask thing is probably the biggest. Like the first week, I had an employee member kind of go off on me saying, why do I have to make people wear masks? And in Kansas City, or in Kansas City, Kansas, we're Wyandotte County, and we're really close to Leavenworth County, and that's also in our service area. And so I was they were comparing to Leavenworth, and like, well, Leavenworth, we don't have this. And I think since then they've had to do a mask mandate, but they got pretty upset because they live in Leavenworth, and we're saying like Genesis Health doesn't require it, and so why should I? And so I'm like, well, look, I'm sorry, but this is our county rules. I mean, this is what we have to go by. So, but since then, that person's come back. They didn't really apologize for getting upset, but that's okay. We'll let it slide. Other things is just, reminding people to cover their nose and mouth properly. And I get it. If you're really trying to do some cardio, it's really hard, to breathe normal. I've been following some of the nurses stuff online, and what people have done around the country. And so we removed all of our rowers. Well, I only have one rowing machine, but I had 2 Airdyne bikes. So I removed them out of the fitness area. Anything that stirred up air, I've just got it in a back storage room, basically. And then in our weight room, I moved the bench out just to give more social distancing. We had some social distancing squares, remind people every 6 feet. So around my front desk area, we put some of those up, and then by our stretching area in our weight room, we just use that as a reminder. Our facility is only 11,000 square feet, and that includes offices, storage, and all that. So actual fitness areas is quite a bit less. But in our main cardio area, we just drew some, not draw, but we put some gaffer's tape that won't mark up our floor, and made little arrows just to kind of say, hey, this is one way, this way, one way, that way, as just a suggestion. I don't know if that really helps, but I've noticed in our area, the supermarkets have pretty much pulled that stuff up too. So it's okay. It's something, and I think it's helping. I mentioned before, we're not doing towel service or workout towels. People are encouraged to bring their own. They can use the locker rooms, but because our facility usage is so small, we haven't had issues. People like not social distancing. Our group fitness classes, they're no charge. I mean, you can, when you're a member of the wellness center, we do have some community members that come in, so they can go to those classes at no charge. And of course, our students and employees can do that. Those are only offered, well, people could attend in person, but our aerobic studio is relatively small. We have a 6-person capacity limit, and we're not even coming close to that. So those classes are still offered Zoom. So most people are just willing to stay home and do the Zoom, and then come in on their own to do other cardio. And other than that, our facility is going to be open through the hours I mentioned through Thanksgiving. Our college shuts down the full week of Thanksgiving. That's standard. We've done that probably in the last 8 to 10 years. We don't get a few other days throughout the semester, and they just made 1 week off. But after Thanksgiving, our on-ground classes at the college will end. But our facility, I was told, like, hey, you're just going to be treated like any other office on campus. You're going to stay open. So we'll stay open after Thanksgiving till the winter break, which I think is the Friday before Christmas. I don't know the exact date right offhand. And then we will come back to work on Monday, January 4th, and we'll reopen with the same hours. I don't anticipate any miraculously changing hours. No one's asked to really change our hours. We used to be open on Saturdays, and that's worked out okay for us because we rotate the Saturdays amongst our staff who wants to, to get that done. So we'll probably just keep doing that. Our college has done something different than anybody else's for the spring semester. We're going to start our classes on time. What they had put in the academic calendar. It's literally, I think, the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And we're not going to have a spring break. You're just going to power through it and then end classes a week early. So that's the approach they've taken. And we'll see if that works, as composed to other people are starting like a week later and then ending on time. So that was their change. Every periodically we get updates from our president saying, hey, reminder of social distancing, reminder where people wear masks. So, but I think that's pretty standard. I'm sure that every institution is probably getting the same kind of feedback.
Cool. Thanks, Rob. And I would like to apologize. Is there anyone that I'm missing an update from another university that I may not be aware of? And the awkward Zoom silence continues. So is there any burning questions that anyone has for the state?
I actually have a question. Drew, in his report, said something about an occupancy calculator. Are other people using that? Is it free, or is anybody can share that type of information?
Rob,
Here-
we are using Connect 2, and that's our form central system software. It's fairly common within Campus Rec. We've increased our hourly counts to 3 times an hour, and it does give you averages when running reports later. So we did reach out to Connect 2 prior to that. That way, it'll automatically update on our website. Every 20 minutes, there will be a new update of each room's capacity. And then we just update our max capacity of each room based on what phase we are currently in. But I do believe, I don't want to speak for Drew, but I remember him saying like something along the lines of they installed something possibly that did count that for them. And Blair, it looks like Blair also connected the KU link, which will be a resource. I'm sure ours will look honestly exactly the same, except our rooms and capacities instead of that. So, but just so everyone does know, it does not total when you run a report later, when you do run multiple counts within an hour.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have any, we don't do recreation or any type of that it's just fitness and health related. So we're using a different tracking software. So
Okay.
it looks like that's something embedded in that software.
It could be something worth exploring if they have a widget where you could publish it on your website. Is that seems to be kind of what people are looking for, or you can at least market it that way. That way they could maybe feel comfortable coming in.
Yeah, we're doing it through Fusion, but we're not putting it online right now. It's just, we have to stay at a 90 max per hour limit. So when we get close to that 90, or if we know our like intramurals is going to restart up, we're going to do that. So we have a running track for our welcome center to be able to let people in or not, but it's not published online yet.
IM Leagues has a capability that track through their app if anyone has a personalized app with IM Leagues.
Does anyone in the state have one other than Pitt State?
I'm pretty sure WSU has the professional IM leagues as well.
Okay.
The paid version.
Yeah.
Austin would be best to answer that, but I don't think he's on here.
Awesome. Is there anything else that anyone would like to discuss? And being the facilitator and no responses is always the awkward one. So I do want to say thanks again, everyone. Thanks for participating in the conference. Those of you that are presenting, thank you for that as well. The sponsors, obviously, once again, they've helped to make this possible to make it free for everyone. I'm not going to send out a survey form for this thing because I don't think we need to at the state meeting. But I will say once again, after meeting with other state leaders, I still do believe that our state has done an excellent job, honestly, of working together. And I know almost every meeting we always hear the phrase, "What are other schools doing?" And this state as a whole has been very open and transparent on giving feedback on what's going on at their university. So I know it's helped us out here at ESU a lot. I hope it's helped everyone else out. I'm just glad we're still on campus and having kids visit our facilities, and we've all been able to work together as much as we have this year. So without any other further questions, I think we'll let this one go a little bit early. Thank you all, and have a warm rest of your Monday. Hopefully the snow melts in your town. So take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel.